Well, hello everybody. Nicholas here, and you are tuning in to the Monday night live stream. Normally, this happens over on Brett Vaughn's channel called Interviews, Stories, and Tales, but he wasn't able to do it tonight, so I was asked to host it here on the Hound on the Run YouTube channel, which is where you currently are. Today, I am joined by the motley crew of regulars, some guys I call the Hound tubers because they make videos about hounds on YouTube. Here they are. Got Chris with Anecdote of a Houndsman, and of course, the man who everyone shows up for, George Lambert of Mount Music and Mules.
What an
How's it going, guys?
When he shows up.
Yeah.
So, is it getting dark early over there now? What time is it getting dark over there, George?
Let's see. We are. I don't even know. It's probably about 8:30.
Oh, it's still kind of late then, huh?
Yeah. It's probably about 8:15. I was trying to look out the window now to see how 7:30. It's probably just. Yeah, it ain't dark yet, but it ain't gonna be long.
Yeah. When do you quit running your dogs? When do you quit letting them go on a rig? When do you quit letting them go on a rig?
So legally we're supposed to be done by 10 p.m., 10 o'clock. So,
period.
Honestly, yeah, we're supposed to have our dogs back in the truck by 10 o'clock. So that is yeah. I mean, how do you know? Can you turn loose at 9:30 and hopefully tree a bear?
That's crazy. It always cracks me up.
You can't kill after dark, so
it cracks me up. So I was just gonna say, it just cracks me up how different the hunting laws everywhere. Like, we can hardly run anything here in Oregon, but we can run 24/7. You know what I mean? We don't have any Sunday hunting laws, or like we can hunt all night if we want to, but we can't run bears.
Right.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, it's interesting here too. So we can chase season only. We can hunt up till 10 p.m. and then but then our, let's see, right now September, here before long, we can hunt on national forests for raccoons. So, so the bear hunters got to be out of the woods, but then the raccoon hunters can bring their dog hunters in. Their dogs, their hounds, whatever, in the woods. So what it is, we usually don't. I'm typically a morning hunter anyway, so I really don't run into the issue. But I will, now that the weather's starting to get cooler. Every once in a while I'll ride out in the evening or something, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and try to get a bear tree in an hour or so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like mornings too. Right now it's a little warm. It's been getting about 80 degrees by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So, if you let go of a rig at 8 in the morning, you got a 2-3 hour chase, you're going to be in the 90s, 80s, 90s, by the time you catch up. And I don't like to do that in August. So I'm usually hunt. If it's a hard rig at 9 o'clock, I'll do it. But I try not. And then at night, I'll go out about 3 in the afternoon if I go out, and I'll run around for a little bit. But we have to, we can rig all night long and catch all night long, but you can't shoot nothing. So if your dogs are out till midnight on a tree, you're all right. You just can't shoot it. You have to pull your dogs, go get your dogs and pull it, and then you're done. But in the morning, you can't let go until it's light enough. I think 30 minutes before is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's once our kill season, harvest season, whatever you want to say, once it comes in, then we're back to the standard half hour before daylight, half hour after.
Yeah. Yep. So
got to say hi to Missy. Hey, Missy.
I know.
She said, I just finished watching.
Wednesday.
Oh, awesome. What she's talking about, I just finished watching you and Seth. This week on the Hound on the Run podcast, I had Seth Hall, who is part of the Houndsman XP podcast. He is a sight hound man. So he runs jackrabbits with greyhounds. Yeah, super crazy guy. I have a lot of fun talking with him. So
That guy's wound
check
up.
it out.
That guy's
Yeah.
Oh,
wound
he's
up.
super
He has a
wound
lot
up.
of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wore me out just
actually-
watching him talk and all excited.
Oh, hell yeah. I think it's about 2 years ago. He actually came out here to Oregon. Our friend Charlie invited him out for a week, and so yeah, we took him raccoon hunting all over the place, and he came out for a day of bobcat hunting with me, and yeah, it was fun. I mean, within about 10 minutes of him getting in my truck, we were talking about all kinds of crazy stuff that would get us banned off the internet. So
Yeah.
good people.
That's your members only.
Exactly. Members only. Only hounds.
Hey, that might be something you can start. That's where you go to share all your videos that shouldn't be on the internet. So
Jared Atkins finally made a live and not watching it days later. Well, welcome, Jared. It's good to have you, brother.
Yeah. I watch mine days later just because I don't know what I said and have to make sure it wasn't nothing bad and I have to apologize for it later.
You know, speaking of that, have you guys ever y'all joined that other social media app? What is it called? I've heard
Oh, Wild.
yeah, Go is it Go Wild? Or
Go on. Yeah, I'm on it. I forget about
I'm on
it. It's all right.
I haven't figured it out. Yeah, I don't really use it at all.
I mean, that's the same here. I never. I think I did join it, but then I couldn't figure it out, so I just kind of laid it by the wayside.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of common. I've had people, kind of talk me into trying to be more active on it, and I'm like, I mean, first of all, I'm not really a social media person to begin with. Like,
Right.
I like YouTube because it's like I've switched to, just pretty much focusing all my efforts on making YouTube stuff because it's different. It's kind of like social media, but it's also just you're making stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really the whole Go Wild thing. It's a cool idea. It just didn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I just didn't invest any time in learning it. It seems more about like the shopping. They have a whole like shop with all kinds of hunting gear, and you post, you get points that get you discounts on stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm also not really much of a shopper. So
yeah.
Well, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with it all.
It definitely is.
Your Instagram, your Facebook, your
look who it is, George. It's your daddy. Hey guys, I'm finally watching the live from home. Chris, sorry I didn't catch you while I was in Arizona. Yeah, what the heck, George? Like, why didn't you meet up with Chris? Why?
I probably jumped on my motorcycle and been there in 45 minutes instead of an hour.
Also, Mr. Lambert, I'm pretty sure you were in Oregon, weren't you? You didn't come say hi to me either. So,
no. What's
the deal, man?
The mysterious George Lambert Sr.
And he was out there.
Who knows if he's even real?
He was out there 2 months or almost 2 months.
2 months.
Oh, man. Because he don't got a beard, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, Chris, do you want to retell? Well, you told us about your recent bear race. You want to share with the class what happened?
Yeah. And what I'll get into is the best part of that whole chase. Last weekend, I bumped into a guy who had kind of an uneasy theory of houndsmen. And I talked to him for half hour. And by the time it was over, he was like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. They never know that. They just go off of whatever they read on Facebook or hear in social media. So that was kind of and then this time I had a good rig. I've been hunting 3 days, chasing something, who knows, deer, raccoon, coyote, hoping it was a bear. Had 2 days running dogs. And then the third day I had a good rig, chased out, let go. And I was like, yeah, it's a good rig. It's a good chase. Sounds good. So I'm parked listening to somebody or listening to my dogs. And the guy pulls up. He's like, oh, did you catch him? I said, well, they're chasing him. He says, yeah, they just seen a bear up over here at this little pond not too long ago. I said, well, hopefully it's it. And the guy never been on bear. He shot a bear back, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever. And I said, well, and right as I'm standing there, they're showing treed. And I said, well, heck, if you want to go over there with me, come check it out. I don't know what it is. I even offered, I said, if big enough, you can shoot it. I don't want to burn my tag. I'll burn your tag. And so he followed us over there, and this guy, I get about 400 yards, and it's just one dog treed now. The other two left because I only had 3 dogs out. So, and I didn't want to let no other dogs out because it was my yucky dog, and I didn't want to go tree a porcupine, or you just never know. So I walk in, and it's a bear, and I radio my son. I said, go ahead and let the dogs out, and we'll get them under the tree. And tell that guy it's just a little one, but he's welcome to come in. And he kind of double thought it. He's like, well, he goes, I'm going to go. I never been to a tree. So he walks in, and this poor old guy, he was an older gentleman. He just falls. He falls out there on the way there real bad. And my son's like, oh, man, I was already walking slow to, let him keep up. And he felt bad. But he got up, and I didn't know about it till he's on the way back. We passed the spot. And he says, oh, man, I felt big right there. I'm like, you fell? He's like, yeah. And he got to take some pictures. And, and I told him, all of my people I take, 90% of them love the best thing is walking into the tree. Even now, I go in, like I walked into this tree after hundreds of trees, and I'm like, it's just exciting. So when you get a new guy, never been under a tree, never been 20 yards from a bear, they love it. They love it. So he had a good time, and we pulled the dogs off, and my other 2 dogs, I thought maybe they was chasing mama bear and she had stashed them, and maybe Yucky caught this little bear trying to run off and took him by himself. But Yucky, that's the first bear he's treed by himself. I watched him trail it out and tree it, and
that's awesome.
He don't ever show treed because he does somersaults off the tree, and he don't just stay up. He just runs around and yelling. So that video will probably be coming out Thursday. So
awesome.
Good times. Good times.
You finally caught a
I'm
bear.
into the dirt. Man, I was even telling my son, I'm like, man, these dogs are about to go out to the pound or something. When you get a dry spell, you start doubting yourself. You doubt your dog. You're like,
you were getting a little whiny.
Dirty kept rigging, and I'd let him out. And one of them, I'm pretty, my wife was like, you need to catch something. I don't care if someone that's tied to a tree, you just got to catch something. Like, I do, and I get mad at my dogs because I know they can do it. And when you start rigging, and I know he ran one backwards maybe, and they're out of shape. I mean, I've been down in the desert trying to run lions, so they have to like put their nose to the ground, and they get out here and pour dirty. You run it backwards, and he'll stay there, and he'll try to figure that track out for an hour. So I had to go into some spots and pick him up. I'm like, damn, dude, what are you doing? Like, stop. Let's go get a hot rig. It's his bear now. So hopefully they're like, oh, we're hunting bear again. So that's usually why I call August my Western month, and they've been parked for a couple months, and they're all just fat and lazy, and their toenails are long, and but their feet did real good. But I've been running on that desert, so just pine needles are probably a little bit easier on them. So that was my exciting weekend story. I was just happy I got to bring another person in that didn't know nothing about hounds, and hopefully I left a good impression. I'm like, hey, I'll let you shoot a bear. And he knew I was a guide, and I was like, I just burn your tag. That's all. I'm going to charge you your tag. So I said, but if you miss it, like every yard I played at 100 yards, I said, I'm going to make fun of you real bad. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, that's cool getting to bring another dude in. I did that one time early on in my cat hunting career, which still very early on. And I was pretty sure that my dogs were not actually treed, but there was little chance that they were treed. So this little farm boy, he was probably like 18 years old or something, just driving around in the woods. He had never been to a hound tree before either. And I was honestly worried about him like stealing stuff out of my truck. So I invited him to come to the tree with me. But then he busted
Yeah,
out
you
like a
never
world.
know.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, can I bring my gun?" I'm like, "Do you have a tag?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I do." Yeah, he had his fur bearer. He actually did have his fur bearer license and everything. So he busts out this like
Nice.
World War II era like Mauser or something. I don't know. It was a super old gun that literally had a bayonet attached to it. And so I was a little nervous hiking into the tree with this dude
Okay.
behind me with straight up a bayonet on his rifle. But yeah, I didn't tree anything, but it was funny. He was when we were, we glassed the trees for like 30 minutes or something. You just hoping we would see an animal in the tree. And after when we were walking out, he's like, "Well, I don't know about this hound thing. It could be it'd be a lot cooler if there was something in the tree." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah,
Thanks for that, dude. I know."
Yeah, that's the
Well,
plan when we let go of him.
you got the other stuff. I took this was a couple years ago, but I took a guy that wanted to go hunting. I think he'd went with me once, and then went with me like the next day. Had hit one off the road, and it was kill season. Hit one off the road. Didn't have a real big chase. It was me and a couple buddies. Finally, the dogs set up treed. Went in there, and in Virginia, if we tree a 300-pound bear is a monster for us. That's big. Anyway, we go into this tree, and I can see it, before we even get there. It's a whopper. So go in there, get him to 30-30. He blows it out of there, hits the ground, and I'm like just standing there in awe, because it's such a big bear. He's like, is that a legal bear? I was like, yeah, that's a legal bear.
I hope so.
We got it out, and it weighed 478 or something.
Wait, how
And
big?
Yeah.
470 something. Yeah, it was a monster. Yeah. And here it's his first bear, first tree, and he has no idea, what he's done did. And I think he's went with me 2 or 3 more times since then.
That's funny.
You spoil them people sometimes, where you get a good rig, and 10 minutes later you got a tree in the bear in the tree, and then the next time you go
All
for
right.
3 days, you're like, oh,
Oh man, very true.
So
All
they
right,
get-
Mr.
they
Blackbeard
get
Kennels. Sorry to cut you off. He wants to know, George, how are your hounds bred? Disregard if you have covered it before. We will not disregard your question, sir. It's a great question. Take it away, George.
We'll repeat ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, hounds bred. So if I call them a breed, it would be English. And the reason I word it that way is just because nothing's purebred. Most of them has like some hard time English, which, like I say, I'm not up on all the registered stuff, but I have a few hounds that go back to hard time English. But I reckon I'll go ahead and go into the story. If you go all the way back when I was younger, I had a plot female that was a Pocahontas plot. I had my buddy had a red bone, I think mix, I'm not sure. And whatever the case, they bred, took them puppies. I was young, I was hunting them, and then I think I had another accidental breeding with an English dog, and boy, it threw out a good set of pups. So I kept that. I think I kept the whole litter, maybe. Can't remember exactly, but 3 or 4 of them. And long story short, breeding them back and forth, and me I'm still trying to learn how to breed hounds and get a good line. But with me going them back and forth, and basically I've been adding in English over and over. But yeah, long story short, it's a mixed pack of mutts, but typically mostly an English line right now. So, and actually, I reckon I should say, if you watch on my videos, all my dogs are, it's like a Christmas tree. If you look at their colors, but they're actually all the exact same line of dogs. Some of them still come out looking like Plot. I got a couple of they still come out and they'll look 100% red bone, but they're not. They're almost 100% English by now.
Interesting.
So
excellent answer. What is the other hunters in your area? Is there like out here? It's like everyone has walkers. What's the common breed out there?
So my neighboring state, West Virginia, that is a Plot state. I mean, people like their Plots in West Virginia. But saying that, there is that the Kemp line of dogs. I've noticed that's popular also.
Oh,
they have their place too. So yeah, but Plots, walkers, that's probably our biggest. But then, like I say, you got a few, like I got the English line. There's a few. It's a little bit of everything. I don't know if I'm really answering the question correctly, but we got it all.
Another question for George. When are you starting your beard? Can you grow a good beard, George?
When I grow up.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I started mine.
Oh, I see.
I'm just too late. I just haven't shaved. Yeah. That's all it is. I can't grow a good beard, so
I shave every Saturday night whether I need it or not. Yeah, so the only time you see any scruff on me is usually on if you catch me on a Friday or Saturday.
That's funny.
I don't think I've been shaving since, I was in the military, so I had to shave there in the 90s, but that's about it. So I was the only one that was 15 and could buy beer. They didn't card you back then.
See, how I can't get past, that stage where it starts getting a little thick and then you bend your chin down and it pokes you. I can't get past that stage. There's no
you just gotta fight through it, or the wings. You'll get some wings going. Yeah,
right.
So you gotta fight.
All right. Uncle George says, when I left the Grand Canyon, I stopped at a place in the Navajo lands that joins the park. Just wondering if y'all know if that is the land that the hound hunter y'all had on a couple weeks ago hunts.
Oh, res hounds.
No, I think he's way up. He's way up northeast, right? Calvin? He's on. I seen him jump on.
Yeah, he's here. Well, he was at least.
There he is. Where are you from, Calvin? It's Calvin, right?
Let's send Calvin a link.
You always know him as there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get him on. He's not doing nothing. We'll drag him on.
Send him the link.
Reservation places out there? I mean, is there multiple reservations?
In Oregon?
Or where? I mean, I don't know exactly.
We have the Apache. You have little reservation over in Oregon, right? They're not very big.
Yeah, they're not as big as Navajo Nation. No.
Navajo's huge, and then we have Apache to the south, and they got a lot of good hunting, good big lions and bears there. And then we got the Navajo to the north. So both same thing, big bears and lions up there. They kill a lot of bears on the Apache. I kind of whine about it because they don't regulate them down there. I don't know how they regulate them up on the Navajo, but in the Apache, I have a guy who I'm trying to get on that hunts down there, Jared Nichols.
Oh, cool.
So he could probably tell us more, but I know a lot of them guys, they kill a lot of bears. Some of those guys kill 30, 40 bears a year. Man. So and it's right on the border where I hunt. So when they're baiting down there, I always feel like them bears are going to stay down there on them bait barrels and not come over on this side, trying to scrub up some acorns. Oh, sorry, George. Acorns.
Acorns, yeah.
that are, they're not even big right now. They're tiny. We didn't get no August rains like we should have, and no heat units. So the mushrooms aren't going to be super great, and the acorns just tiny. So I don't know. Maybe here in the next month they'll pop a little bit, but
You know,
not
if
like
you're
some years
interested,
where they're
if you're
very
interested in
plentiful.
learning about like the reservations and stuff, there's a YouTuber. His name is Peter Santinello. Have you guys heard of him at all?
I don't
Peter
think so.
Santinello.
Mm-mm.
He's a cool dude. He does like a travel. He does like makes like travel videos, but he goes to
Yeah.
like places that are not like travel destinations. And so he'll do like these series of videos. So he did a really great series on like Amish people, where he just went and talked to all these
Yeah.
different Amish people and like, learn about how they live. Well, he did the same thing for like all the different reservations in the Southwest. And it was really cool because I watched one of those episodes right after Calvin was on here with us. And yeah, hearing it from Calvin's perspective and then watching these other videos where it talked about like, way bigger topics around just the reservations as a whole. It was super interesting. One of the episodes they were talking about kind of like the superstitions involved, and they were talking about like skinwalkers and stuff. And
Really?
yeah, like all them
The
ghosts
Navajo
up in them
res is
hills. Yeah, it's full of
Navajo
ghosts,
res is
right?
real superstitious of the skinwalkers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
dang interesting.
there's
Pretty
some
dang
weird
interesting. I
videos out
recommend it.
there.
Peter Santinello. Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
There's some weird videos.
Oh, here we go. Chris,
Continue.
how long was you in the military? What branch and what was your MOS?
I was Army, and then I was a 6'3" Sierra, which is heavy wheel mechanic. So, but I ended up working on all the 5.77s and the howitzers. And I was in for, I don't know, about 5 years, 6 years. I went in actually when I was a junior in high school. So I did my basic training as a junior.
Crazy.
Went back to
Wow.
senior as a high school, and then went to my AIT as a, So, and I was the only person in Arizona that knew how to work on those HEMTs. So I got to run around and show everybody the do's and don'ts of those HEMTs. So I really didn't have I was stationed with the Bravo 1 and 180th in Casa Grande, the National Guard, because they had all the HEMTs. And so I'd go to Fort Huachuca and I'd run around, kind of had my own little Humvee or HEMT, and then would go around and show people all the sensors. It's all the kind of a cool gig for a while. So
that is cool. Well, thank you for your service.
Well,
Acorns.
I don't know if all my superiors thought I was good for the service, but I'm not real good with authority. So I was always in trouble.
Okay,
That's
there was
Van
a man
Hale.
on. There's a man on a few weeks ago that said he hunted some really bad bears that could be part grizzly. Where is that? So yeah, that was Van Hale,
So,
and
yeah,
we're talking about
that was-
Arizona, right?
Yes, so that's down. There's some big bears, and there's another spot. I heard an old guy tell me a story that his dad was like a forestry guy or worked on the reservation over there, over out and down by the Salt River Canyon, and he always had he always tried to prove that some of those bears were part grizzly, because those big black bears, a lot of them down there in that area by Globe, in the Salt River Canyon, had big humps on their back, he thought. And then even, Van Hale, I think, was talking about it, saying some of these bears, if they did a DNA test on them, they might find some grizzly down there. Grizzly used to run here. I think old Ben Lilly took care of that last one, in 1931? Killed the last grizzly bear in Arizona. Don't
If
quote
you
me, but I
had
think it's pretty
grizzlies,
close.
if both of you,
So-
if both you
They
guys,
used to run here. I don't know. In my opinion,
if both of you guys, George and
What
Chris,
was that?
if you had grizzlies in your area, would you still run bears?
oh,
Get-
I still run them.
I think
I still run them with wolves. No difference.
You have wolves
You
where
know?
you are?
Yeah, we do. We could get into
Mexican
that. I would
gray
love
wolves.
to bring. It don't
Yeah, but
matter what
those
kind
are
of wolf
those
they
are
are.
just those are just Mexican gray wolves. They're just basically
Yeah.
like a big coyote. They're not
That's
the
all
same,
it is.
brother.
Yeah, they don't kill 30, 40 deer and leave them lay or elk or cattle.
They don't really count though. They don't really
Nope.
count. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. You know, and it wasn't. I don't blame in Game and Fish because that was the federal coming in and saying we're going to bring in the wolves. Game and Fish, what do you think? And they're like, absolutely not. And they said, well, we're going to bring in the wolves. So either you're with us or you're not with us. So they kind of didn't have a choice but to jump in on the bandwagon there. I think it's ridiculous. If you're going to bring in wolves, why don't you bring in grizzlies too? They were here, you know. But
That's right. Introduce Bengal tigers. Why not?
yeah, bring them all in.
If we're gonna get all crazy, why don't we go all the way?
Yeah.
You know.
And as far as the grizzly thing here, I don't like my dogs to get a hold of the bear anyway. So
Yeah,
I think,
Might be a non-issue.
yeah, I think it probably would be an issue, but one where I would still. I mean, I got one of my really good females tore up just the other day. So, like I say, and honestly, it wasn't really her fault or the bear. The bear come up the bank almost right into the side of my truck, and old Scruff just jumped out the window and bailed and turned the bear right back into the dogs.
Oh,
and
man.
in the wrong place. And she got bit. But anyway, saying that.
Well,
is she doing okay?
Once your dog, sometimes.
Yeah. So she got bit in a bad spot. Like far as it's going to be a while, she got bit right in the shoulder blade. So it's going to put her out for a couple weeks, but at the same time, she'll recover fine from it.
Your dogs learn
we'll
from
see that video in like 2 years from now.
Yeah, George backs them up.
What was it, Chris?
So my dogs have been up in those good fights, but they learn quick as far as staying away from the bears after they get swiped a couple times. But I don't have plots. Plots don't learn.
It depends on the situation and it depends on the adrenaline. Like every hunt can be different. If they've run a little while, if they catch up to a nice big bear, then they're going to give him some space. They'll stay back. But if it's one of them adrenaline rush, hot rigs, go 500 yards, catch this little 120 pounder on the ground, they're going to, they get in there a little too tight, especially if they've got some buddies in there that's, and if one of them jumps in, then all of them want to jump in.
Well, you seen that Van Hell video? Didn't I send you that? Where those dogs just tore that bear up, and that bear said, "Nuh-uh," went back up that tree, and that old dog held on for about 15 feet. And those grizzlies, there's one by Troy again. I don't see grizzly being. I don't think grizzlies do tree hardly at all. Do they?
No,
I'm not a grizzly expert.
So
a big black bear won't tree. I've seen those dogs walk behind them at just walking because they can't get close to it. Those dogs know better. By the time that bear comes after them a couple times, but I don't know what people understand is if that bear wanted to kill every dog there, that bear would kill every dog there.
Oh yeah.
So that unfair chase it's not. it just don't work for that, because if that bear wants to do, I mean, even a little bear, them little bears are scrappers. Big bears don't move as fast. I had a big bear turn on a dog and my dog ran at my son. My son picked up the dog and like threw her to save my dog. I'm all, how about you?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I like them big bear. Them big bear come with, there's some sort of thing that everybody likes a big bear. But the ones that I'm actually proud of is them little, if the dogs can catch and tree 125, 150 pounder, that's the ones I'm actually proud of the dogs. If they can, they can run 10 miles and catch one of them and get him to go up a tree, then they did something.
Yeah, I call them the Ethiopian bears because they can run.
Yeah, exactly.
They run, and it's a skinny, lean bear when they're 6 miles away in 3 minutes.
Oh yeah,
or a coyote. I don't know, but and you could tell the way a bear runs. I wasn't too worried this past weekend when my dogs, they went up the mountain, they went around the mountain. You could tell it was a bear. Them coyotes like to just run straight. And deer, I don't think my dogs would. They might chase a deer jumped out, but they'd be like, turn around on it, So, but them bear, I've been in some crazy. I've picked dogs up 12, 15 miles away because they didn't want to quit it on reservation. So that's no fun.
But then let's see, a couple mornings ago, I was walking down in these what I call the low woods, off the mountain, and some thick autumn olives and that kind of stuff. Dogs trailed out of there, went through like a 3-acre open field.
Mm-hmm.
And the grass is like waist. Well, I'd say waist high. It's like knee high. Trailed through the field, and then all of a sudden, they trailed up about half a mile away up on the side of this big ridge. All of a sudden, here comes my old dog just flying, coming back off there. And if it wouldn't have been my old dog, I was doubting her even, but I was standing at that 3-4 acre field, and here she comes through the field. I see nothing in front of her, nothing at all. And I'd have been standing there 10 minutes. And so I yelled my other dogs back to me, and I just took a chance. I was like, well, she's been around 9 years. I'll trust her. I went ahead and put the other dogs on it. They made laps in that auto like it was running rabbits. I mean, it was terrible. And finally, they got lined out of there, crossed the road, went up on the mountain, and finally I went to a tree. But it's so weird.
You think they ran it backwards maybe first and then lined it out, and that bear already took off?
Somehow I don't know if I was watching the GPS when it come across that field, because they trailed up on the ridge, and then when she come back off, she was running about 200 yards off of her track, and she was going up there. She was trailing. Like I walked with them for a long ways, trailing. Like just nose on the ground. When she come back off there, I mean, she was screaming, head up. I could just see her bobbing in the grass. So I'm assuming I must have just been looking at the GPS, or, I mean, the bear had to cross 200 yards right smack in front of me, and I did not see it. So, of course, I was thinking, well, they done jumped a fox. They're running a fox or something. Especially when they got in them autumn olives and they did, like 200-300 yard circles. And I mean, they was just like a rabbit. I mean, just like a rabbit. And then finally they lined out of there. And then once they lined out, then I felt pretty confident. And then they took it all the way up on the mountain, brought it back, and actually to finish the story is when it finally come all the way back off the mountain, and when it crossed the road, I threw Scruff on it, and he treed it.
Good old Scruff.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse in your life than doubting your dogs, and you hope you're wrong. You always hope you're wrong, and then when you're right, you're like, damn, I almost pulled my dogs. And I've done that before, called them off. I'm like, it don't feel right to me. But when when you tone your dogs or even shock your dogs or anything, and they keep going, even second guess yourself. You're like, oh, why aren't they? I don't think they would, if it was a coyote or a fox or skunk or whatever. deer, elk, if I shock them, they're going to come off. They should.
Oh yeah.
So then you're like, damn, did I just screw that up? And then you're so afraid to screw it up, you know. And Yucky had a little problem at the tree, and I don't like shocking him at the tree. But also had my son's dogs came in, and the dog came in, and I don't think the other dog jumped on him, but ever since those hound trials, he's been a little aggressive, and he was never aggressive, but he had 2 or 3 dogs. I don't know why dogs don't like red dogs. He had dogs jump on him at that hound trial, and I had to get on him about 3 times over there.
Right.
Because he got a little aggressive, and I don't like that, especially when you don't get to the tree for an hour.
Right.
You know, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So, yeah.
You know, I've had that problem before, and I always figured out.
But I don't like being wrong about my dogs.
Yeah. You know, as far as the treeing thing, I will do whatever I have to do to correct them at a tree, because I figure if I'm not going to be able to use them the way they are. So if something happens and I ruin it, you know, where they won't tree, then so be it. But I can't have no grouching. You know, sometimes I'm 4 or 5 hours before I can get to the tree.
Yeah, that I know, especially when they're running 8 miles in 5 minutes. You know,
yeah.
Brett is doing okay. I just talked to him. I just texted him, asked him how he went in today and did whatever he needed to do. He said it all went good. So, as far as I know, he's still alive.
He's still alive. Legend has it.
Still alive. Yep. He says he's feeling good. He's all right. So.
Oh, here's a good comment from Troy Babar. I think everyone that says it's unfair chase should go on just one hunt and have to walk behind hounds. They'll change their mind. By the end of the hunt, they'll be begging for their tree stand or blind. It's very true. Very true.
It is. That's where it goes into, you hope you don't do a rig and catch them in 10 minutes, you know, because then that's a bad, but
yes.
That's why I post all my videos that I don't catch nothing in, because it's
all about suffering.
Dogs. Yes. When you're looking for dogs till 3 a.m, or like you have to walk. I want to get a kid named Anthony on here, because he was just telling me a story how he walked in 9 miles and had to stay the night. And that was down in dirty wolf country.
That's no fun.
You know, I think he texted me next day, like, you know anybody with the mule? So I said, I got a Mustang. I said, it rides. I ride it with a halter, and it's a stout little booger. I said, but my Gino is probably not a lot of people's Gino, but my son's girlfriend rode him. The only thing he tried to do bad was we hit a sand wash, and he tried to lay down in it while she was on him. So I don't know why. I've had him do it in water, just never sand wash. He wanted to roll for some reason. So I said, come get him. Ride him if you like him, then we'll work something out. I was trying to get him on so he could kind of tell us, you know, that story of it's not just truck the tree. It really isn't. If you're lucky, it is. And the best feeling in the world is when your dogs run 250 miles and they're treed right next to a road. You're like, oh, thank God for that. You know, that's the best, you know. So you do get those easy hunts. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying some days. There was one weekend, man, I just catching 3 bears a day. Like it was like going to a fish hatchery and throwing a fishing line in there with what they feed them on it. You were just plucking them out, you know. But that's very, very few and far between.
And my uncle
get lucky.
And he'll probably want to kill me if he knows I say this, if he watches this. But so my uncle that's on my videos all the time, he was probably one of the biggest, I wouldn't call him anti-hound hunter, but he did not like dog hunting at all for years. I mean, we'd have discussions about it and everything. And finally,
keeps Thanksgiving interesting.
Yeah. So finally, actually probably Dad more than me talked him into just, you know, he was like, Jeff, just go with us. Yeah. So my uncle finally went with us, and boy, it was the perfect bad hunt, if you want to call it that. We did get a bear treed, but it was miles in, and we walked. He didn't even get to see it. We walked all the way in there. You know how it is. You get 50 yards away and it bails out. So,
Oh, they jump.
Kind of like
Oh,
this.
that's the worst.
Your dad said, George, remember one time we treed and walked 2.5 hours to the tree and it came out and treed again inside of the truck.
yeah, I can't remember which time that is, but yeah, probably. But yeah,
My cousin went hunting with me one time, and it was kind of late season, and it was already. We didn't get up at 3 and go rig. It was like 7. Literally, he's all, shouldn't we got out? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go. I'll take you to a spot. We went to a spot. We parked. I was in my little 1980 Toyota. We parked. I said, I usually walk to the left. I'm gonna walk right and go right up this steepest part of this hill. I've never really did that way. We did. We walked up, horrible hill, got to the top. Soon as we reached the top of this horrible hill, dog struck, went straight down 30 yards from my truck, ran around it. So we had to walk back to the truck, get in the truck, and then drive around. And I didn't know what it was. It kept stopping. It wouldn't tree. So it stopped, run another 100 yards, stop. So I went around. I'm driving around. I see they're on my GPS. I said, man, they're only a couple yards right here. And then I see him running on the hill. I'm like, I don't see nothing, man. Said it kept stopping though. I'm like, maybe it's an elk or a deer that turns, but it just, we get out of the truck and I start walking in and they're coming towards me. I'm like, hey man, they're coming towards us. This is weird. And they're going. I mean, they're opened up. I'm all, well, let's just see how big this elk is. And we're just standing there watching them. And I see a couple of them coming down the hill. And all of a sudden, not 30 yards from us, a bear comes out of the brush and right at us. And I got dogs on his butt. And my cousin, he pulls his rifle. I said, watch my dogs. Watch my dogs. And he shoots that bear running. And the dogs, it kind of scared the dogs. You're like, oh, what the? But then it was like a gunshot. They're like, you know, and that bear rolls. Lucky it was a boar, but we didn't. I think it was running right. When he shot it, it was probably 10 yards passing us. So it kind of sucked if he missed because he would have got nice little 200-pound boar, though. Nothing super big, but I mean, doing all that walking all the way to the top of this hill, have it run by my truck 30 yards, and then go around a couple miles and have it run right at you. So those are the good hunts, you know, and that's why he thought it was kind of, well, that was easy. I'm like, oh, no, that one was not always like that. I said it never, and I had no GoPro, no camera at that time. I didn't care, but that was a video that would have went viral. It was just hectic and quick, you know. So
and so we had one of them, and of course no video, so you know how that is. But this little old bear come out in the road. My buddy's sitting there. The bear just goes boom, goes under his truck. They just goes under his truck. Wiggles goes out the other side.
No way.
What the heck?
That would have been awesome.
I swear, when you get a GoPro, that all stops.
Yeah,
it all stops.
Nothing exciting
I got a
happens
GoPro
anymore.
No, I got a GoPro 2 years ago, and I swear I've not caught bears like I used to. So I don't know, coincidence, timing. It just drives me crazy.
Know.
If I could have recorded all the times we had just phenomenal hunts, I would have a stash of videos. Yeah.
George seems to catch a lot of bears, and I'm pretty sure he has a GoPro. So your excuse is falling apart.
George has better country than I do.
Oh, and he's just got all those dogs, right?
I think honestly, no
he has
joke.
One more dog. He just puts down one more dog.
Yeah, I do get asked a lot of them questions all the time, and I think yes, my dogs are bear dogs, and they will catch a bear. But if you look at like some of the people's statistics that go out like every weekend and they catch a bear, the amount of days I hunt really helps the amount of bear I catch, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's a fact, because if you're only going out on the weekends, your dogs aren't in tune. If you go out every day, if someone came and said, I will pay you to hunt every day, and you hunted every day, sun up, sundown, your dogs would be tuned up. I mean, if you go
That's
out
very
once a
true.
week, your dogs are going to be pretty good. And I tell people who get in the hounds, if you can't go out 3 times a week, you're going to lose a lot of efficiency. You go out twice a week, you will notice the first week or two, your dogs are that much better. You go out 3 times a week, you're like, these dogs are great. Like, you know, so those guys that hunt and make $20,000 dogs is because that's what they do. You know,
Right.
and then I see, I just seen, what's that guy's name? Kirk, the YouTube guy, Kirk
Price.
Kirk Price, you know, and he's catching bears, but he had 8 guys with him. 8. I don't like a lot of people with me for one, but when you have 8 guys with 40, 50 dogs, you should probably catch something. Somebody should catch something, whether it's a raccoon or a possum or a coyote.
Catch all the deer. You just don't just run them. You catch those deer.
Yeah,
when you got
95% of the time, I'm by myself.
Right.
I'm by myself. I have one rig dog right now. Yucky's coming up, you know, to rig, and I got a couple other ones, but I don't have a montage of people behind me. I just have me. So when I do let go of those 2-3 lead dogs, that's all I got. The only thing I have for backup is puppies. So hopefully that bear runs across and I can let them dogs out. They'll fall in with the other dogs and pick it up, you know, and that's how they learn. But it's tough, you know, by yourself.
As funny as it is, little old Scruff, he really does catch a lot of bear for me. I mean, he obviously he's no bear dog, but I think last week he probably caught. I think last week I probably treed 3 or 4 that I wouldn't have treed without him, and that's just because the hounds had done running for a while, and they hit the road. And as soon as they hit the road, I'll just let Scruff jump out of the truck, and I mean he's fast as lightning. I mean he catches them rascals.
But he is a bear dog.
So he is a bear dog.
He is a bear dog.
All right,
you know, just because he don't have big ears.
Yeah.
So George, you got Scruffy. He's a Feist, right?
He's a mountain Feist, yes.
Okay, so this is just a very basic question, but how is he running a bear differently than your regular hounds?
So all right, so Scruffy is 20. I think the last time I weighed him, he's like 27 pounds or 25. He's a little old booger.
He's a little dude.
Yeah, he's little, but he is a sprinter. You know, my hounds are like the endurance, and Scruff is like this. You know, I can always tell when I turn loose if Scruff goes about a mile and a half, and if he comes back, then I know I'm in for a long day. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if Scruff, my hounds cannot keep up with Scruff. You know, that first mile, he leaves them.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like 400, 500, 600 yards. Like he puts it on them.
Wow.
So basically, what I'm saying is my hounds, you know, they trail. You know, they're taking these old tracks. They'll get a bear jumped up, and a lot of times, yes, they'll tree it. But if something happens, the bear runs, and if he gives me a chance, you know, if he happens to get close to a road or somewhere where I can walk Scruff in there, and if it's red hot scent, Scruff he'll take that scent and just leave the hounds. So he'll actually catch the bear, and then typically, I mean, he dances around the bear. Like, I mean, he's just all around him. And that bear, he'll work the bear, and that the bear he's like, man, I better get going.
Man, you're obnoxious.
Yeah, so when Scruff gets him stopped for a few seconds and gives him a chance for my hounds to catch up, then the bear, he's like, and this is just a rule of thumb. It ain't every bear, but then he's like, I better just climb up this tree, you know.
Gotcha. So I don't know if have you heard of any? There's been some good podcasts from different people about how, especially up in Canada, they'll run, you know, your standard plot hounds, blue ticks, whatever, but then they'll throw in a couple Lycas,
right?
Or like you know, those Spitz types dogs where they're just barking like a crazy amount. Do you think that's kind of a similar thing where
100%.
it sounds like it is?
I've got so do you keep up, or do you know Alex, that he's kind of introducing the Lycas to Virginia, pretty hot and heavy right now.
I have heard of him, yes.
Yeah, so I know him pretty good. I've never hunted with him, but I know him pretty good. Sorry guys, I was getting a phone call.
There's Mama. Where you at, George?
Yep. She's in the other room.
Oh,
so
it's still
Alex,
her.
Yeah, Alex. Like I say, I know him pretty good. Talk to him often, and we hunt a lot of the same areas. And that we've compared the similarities, and that's, I mean, he does really good on catching bear here in Virginia. Now he will have to he's got to cover a lot of ground to get on hot scent, where I can walk a little bit and hopefully get the dogs to trail one up. But typically, if he gets his Lycas on a bear, they're gonna get it treed.
Is he only hunting Lycas?
That's all he. No, I say that
Wow,
he does.
okay.
He has a little puppy right now, a plot, but it's not his, and he's not training it for himself. He's just doing it for a buddy or a friend or something like that.
Okay.
But yes, he hunts 2 Lycas at a time, and that's all he hunts.
Dang, that's awesome. Yeah, I know there's people out here who have there's people out here who will either use like straight up cur dogs, or they will mix some cur or feist into their bobcat dogs to get more of those different qualities, like air scenting and like that kind of stuff. But I've always thought it would be cool to have just a totally different type of dog to add into my pack to do exactly what you just described Scruffy does.
Yeah, Scruffy is a interesting dog, and he's like, I did not do that intentionally at all. I mean, I just had him and just would be throwing him on bear every once in a while. And he just started, he did it himself.
That is awesome. On that note, we introduce Uncle Papaw Jonny. Hello, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Pretty good. What's happening in Johnny World?
Still kicking.
I've been out helping one of my buddies this afternoon. He's trying to get his own business started, lawn care. And
okay.
I was off today, and he needed just a little bit of help. I just come through the door. I've not even been in to see if my face is dirty in the mirror or anything, so I may have grass all over me.
You look great as always.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
I heard just a little bit while I was trying to get everything wrapped up. I heard Chris talking about, guys that just hunt on the weekends and stuff like that. So I've heard just a little bit, but I don't know how you pass up a rig either and make bear dogs. I mean,
what the heck, Chris?
Every dog on the box blows up. I'm not going to drop it because there's some people at the pond. I've been like, sorry, people, I'm dumping.
I'm a nice guy, Johnny. I'm a nice guy.
And here comes the
Every
virtue
once in a while.
signaling.
I'm going to tell you, when you hunt next to a reservation, there's a road that runs, there's a couple roads. One of them runs on the fence, literally on the fence. And the other one, there's spots that it's like 60 yards away, 100 yards away, 600 yards away. You got to be careful when you drop that rig. And I'd rather pass a rig than shock them off a rig when they turn and runs right to the res. I don't like shocking them off a trail, but I rather shock them off the trail than let them get on reservation, because there's some horror stories on those reservations where I just heard one recently, weeks ago. They went on to get their dogs, came off. They were on non-reservation side. And this is where I get real antsy, is when a reservation officer is telling me something when I'm not on reservation. But basically, you'd have to catch me. And they didn't catch them on reservation. They came off, walked up the road. So they didn't really catch them coming off reservation. So
do you think it could have been a skinwalker?
Argued it more, but they Ranger. But
Was it a human who approached you?
you just got to be careful. It was. So, yep.
Well,
They had to pay. They gave him $100 bill.
I've missed that.
Know.
I've missed something. What happened with this? What happened with the skinwalker?
We was talking about skinwalkers earlier.
Well, because we were talking about, he's talking about hunting near reservation land, and a couple of weeks ago we had Calvin on. I was talking about this really cool YouTube series I found about like different reservations around the U.S., and they were talking about like skinwalkers and stuff and like extraterrestrial kind of things. You didn't miss much.
Okay,
just being silly.
Yeah.
I watch that stuff too, but I don't know. A lot of people probably wouldn't agree with my outlook on that stuff. So.
Oh, I bet I'd agree with you.
Mine's religious outlook.
Okay.
I believe that anything that appears like that is demonic. I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in angels and demons, which are demons, for the preacher to come out in me. A demon is nothing more than a fallen angel that chose to follow Satan and go against God. So I believe anything like that appears is demonic. I also have an outlook, and some people probably call me nuts here, but I also have an outlook that all this alien stuff is popping up again. It was huge in the late 80s. And then like the 90s, early 2000s, you didn't really hear anything about UFOs or anything like that. And there was another preacher when I was a kid, I can remember saying this. He believes that the rapture will be explained by a mass alien abduction. And I just think all that stuff's, my opinion and my belief is that it's demonic and it's going to be used to deceive the populations. Hey, somebody on there agreeing with me?
That's right. Lairdy 58 agrees with you. I also would probably agree with you. Yeah, I'd say it's demonic forces 100%.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I know everybody doesn't see everything the way I do, but I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe that me being a Christian and following God's word, I don't believe in ghosts. I believe that anything that comes in contact with us that's supernatural. I do believe in supernatural, but I believe it's a demon or an angel.
Okay, so you don't believe in ghosts, but you believe in angels and demons.
Yes.
Then what's a ghost?
God's word, Christ himself, says that we'll be with him when we leave here, and to be apart. And for me, death is to be with Christ and to leave this world. I don't believe in purgatory or anything like that, like some people do. I don't believe that your spirit stays trapped on earth or trapped in between worlds. I don't believe that God makes mistakes like that. You either go to heaven or you go to hell. That's my opinion. And that's my strict opinion. I hate to even call it an opinion.
I love it.
Right.
I think George agrees with me. See,
that's right.
I got George Sr.'s endorsement. That's all I need.
That is all you need. Let's go.
All it is right there.
I found out that your dad preaches not too far from here sometimes over in Richlands. So
yes, sir, he does.
Me and your daddy's talked back and forth some since a couple weeks ago. So.
Yeah, I know Dad's got about a more popular following than I do, and he's not even on social media, really.
He needs to get. If he got him a YouTube channel, there's a lot of preachers that's got good following on YouTube. I can't get 3 or 4 people to watch it on Facebook. So, I mean, that's just, I know that I believe that my calling is probably a little bit different than to just be a preacher delivering God's word. I believe a little more on the pastoral lines with people, but I've got a small congregation anyway, but I have a hard time. I've always had a hard time as a reader. I've got something that it took me years when I was in school that, I'm the oldest one on here too right now, right? I'm the second oldest beside of Brett. When I was in school, had trouble reading, you're just dumb. Now there's dyslexia and different things. And when I go to read something, a lot of times I get this word over here in front of this word somehow, and it's almost like dyslexia. And it took me years to figure that out. And once I figured that out, I have a whole lot smoother time reading now. And just every once in a while, I have to go, oh, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. Back up and read that again. But
Right.
when I was in
Wait,
school,
so
it was like,
you're straight up like actually dyslexic?
well, I don't see the words backwards. I get a word in the sentence in the wrong place. I don't know. I don't know if it's my mind trying to jump ahead. You know.
Oh, gotcha.
Probably a little bit of ADHD in there.
I've heard I've talked to some people who are actually dyslexic, and that sounds like a nightmare. Like, yeah. I mean, jumbling up words, that's, mixing up the order, that's freaking painful enough, but like actually scrambling up all the letters, that's just like a living nightmare.
My wife jumbles numbers. She doesn't have any problem with letters, it's numbers. And she works in retail. Plus she's legally blind. She's 2,200 with her she got special contacts. With those special contacts, she's 2,200.
So she's just like, just take it. It's free. We're doing a sale.
No, because her boss.
You're going to get charged too much or too little.
her boss doesn't handle that real well, and she's got real good about catching herself. Her biggest problem is that she goes over the deposits a lot of mornings. She works somewhere between 4 to 5 days a week. Just depends on what week it is, and she does a lot of their deposits. They're from the day before, and she has to watch doing the deposit to make sure the cash register and everything comes out. And a lot of times, if it doesn't, she has to go back and see if she's jumbled a letter. I mean, a number. So that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, for real.
Plus the job she's got, they still hand write tickets. Nothing's computerized. So she has to go through handwritten stuff. Yeah, she has to go through handwritten stuff and hope that somebody else hasn't made a mistake. And if they've made a mistake, then they've got to try to back up and find it. So everything's handwritten. Which the thing about it is, when the power goes out there, they can still sell.
That's true. My grandparents, they used to own a mini storage, and up until about, I think they sold it, I think like 8 years ago or something, but up until about 10 years ago, they were doing all of their records and all their, well, I won't say who my grandma is because this might get her in trouble, but they were doing all their like credit cards, like handwritten. They had all their customer information just like written down on paper, stuffed into safes. And when they transitioned to a digital system, man, it was like the apocalypse. It was here, and they thought they were going to die for sure, but they made it through okay.
I'm sure. Yeah, that would be horrible to have that happen. I thought you were just talking about they handwritten it and used the shink. You remember? Y'all?
No, way worse than that. Way worse.
I don't know if you guys even remember those things or not.
The manual credit card swipers. Yep.
Yeah, they used to swipe it, and you had the carbon copies that it would read when it rolled over. It kept the numbers and all your information on that piece of paper. I'm telling how old I am now.
I do like the supernatural lane we've kind of gone down. So putting this out to the rest of you gentlemen, have you ever had any like crazy, like supernatural experiences when you're out hound hunting?
There's something about
twins.
You what?
Got 2 sets of twins. There's a lot that goes on.
I don't know if y'all.
I'll take a supernatural. I'll trade them in for a supernatural experience. I'd rather deal with them sometimes. They're crazy.
I mean, I don't know if this is the exact lane you're talking about, but if you talk about sending a whole pile of prayers up when I get in pickles sometimes, yeah, I've did that many a time.
Oh man, I have had, I hate to say this, I'm a follower of Jesus myself, And I always feel bad when I'm only praying when I need help with something, you know what I mean? Like, but there have been times when, I think 2 times now, where I was at a tree and I lost my glasses. Like, glasses flew off my head somehow, and now I can't see anything.
Right.
And yeah, did a lot of praying in those moments, and show me where my glasses are. And I gotta tell you, it works. You ask for a little help, and you get the help. So
It does work. And then on the other end of the deal, I'll tell this on myself. So this was years ago, and could it be coincidence? I mean, it could be argued that maybe, but obviously we're in a pretty religious upbringing background. Go to church, 2-3 times a week. So one day I decided to skip church and go hunting.
oh no.
Yeah. And that is one of the only times that I think. So my whole life of hunting, I've had. Let's see, I had a bear. I've had 2 dogs get killed by, I think, a bear. I think I might not be exactly right, but the day I skipped church to go hunting, I got a dog run over in the road.
Oh no.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm not skipping church to go hunting anymore.
Seriously.
George, have you ever heard the song "The Preacher and the Bear"?
Oh yeah, exactly.
When you talk about skipping church to go bear hunting, that's exactly what entered my mind. He skipped church to go bird hunting.
Yeah.
The preacher did. Have y'all ever heard it, Chris or Oz?
No, I
No,
haven't.
I haven't heard it.
It's Jerry Reed. It's called "The Preacher and the Bear."
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You can imagine some of the crazy stuff that Jerry Reed done. It's funny.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a Jerry Reed song right there.
Preacher and the Bear. I think he said something about, Lord, if you'll get me out of this situation, I'll never. It's something to the point about, if you get me out of this situation, I'll never skip church again to go hunting. So.
Yeah. So needless to say, Sunday mornings, we're legal to hunt here on Sundays as far as chase season. We can chase here in Virginia, but needless to say, I'm in church Sunday mornings and Sunday night.
It has to be private land, though, don't it, George?
No, we can hunt national. Well, so we can hunt national forest. We can chase bear in national forest.
Okay, I thought the dogs had. I thought the dog hunting had to be off of national forest in Virginia. I thought
No.
I know that we can hunt, but you're supposed to be so far away from a place of worship too if you hunt. So
yeah, I believe so. And
Really?
because I ain't looked at that law in a while, I might have to look at it to make sure I am right, but I'm pretty certain that's the way it is. We can hunt national forest right now, chase season only for bear.
I've got some friends that wouldn't care to skip church. I don't think, to bear hunt. I mean, I'm just telling you straight like it is, and they don't hunt on Sunday, so that's the reason I was thinking it was like that. They won't turn their dogs loose on Sunday.
Yeah, I've noticed around here that's a lot of I mean, we do have a lot of people that hunts on Sunday, but it's a pretty, even people that might skip church, they might not go to church, still they're not going to hunt on Sunday because I don't know if it's actually religious reasons or just moral, if they feel like it's a moral thing. I'm not sure, but the culture around here is pretty, we typically don't hunt on Sunday.
The thing about dog hunting is, you can't go out that morning for a quick hunt before church because
it don't work. Yeah.
Nope.
The quick
You
hunt
don't know when it will end.
The quick hunt thing never works anyway. Oh, I'm just gonna go for a quick run. Usually if you say that, it's about like a nurse in the ER saying it's a quiet night. It's
right.
You've doomed yourself to you being out all day. I have went, and this might sound bad to some people, but I don't think God cares if we hunt on Sunday, as long as we pay, as long as we pay respect and worship Him. So I have went on a real quick turkey hunt on Sunday morning before, out away from everywhere, because I know I can go and come back. Now,
Same.
I would never turn my dogs loose. If I still had them, I wouldn't do it.
So one morning I was up behind. I mean, we're off film hunting on turkey hunt now, but yeah, one morning I heard a turkey gobbling, and I knew he was just at the limits if I could get to him or not and be back. I knew I had to be back at the house by absolute latest 8:45, 9 o'clock. So I mean, I pushed it. Finally got the turkey killed. Made it home. Couldn't even debreast it or anything. Just threw it somewhere where it'd be cool. I couldn't. I had to go to church in sweaty. I didn't even get to the shower. Just jump in decent looking clothes and go to church to play some music.
Hey, my church show up with the camouflage on. I don't care, just as long as you
Oh,
show it. You know what I mean? I honestly, and some preachers I know, and some Christians I know don't like this. I preach in blue jeans and a button up Western shirt. That's what I used to wear.
Yeah.
Because that's me. You know what I mean? For years I tried to wear a suit and tie, and that's not me. And I felt like it was me, so I just started, wearing what was me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like more people might feel that I was approachable too.
Yeah, ours is a pretty country style church, and it's funny. A lot of people that don't go to church think that it's for us, we absolutely enjoy it. We love every minute of it. It's like living the lifestyle we live it's not hard at all. Like, even if it wasn't even a religious factor, I fully believe I would like to say I would probably still live. Maybe I'd hunt on Sunday, but even if the religion part wasn't, I enjoy the way I live so much. I'd probably live this way, even no matter what. It's a great way to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100% agree.
Now, how out your way, Chris? How's the culture out that way?
Bunch of heathens.
I'm the heathen. I'm the heathen. Yeah, I'm not a religious guy.
Right.
I'll go word for word on the Bible for somebody because I love reading it, but my church is out there. That's what I do. Yeah. But as far as we're not all religious like that in Arizona. Like, not that I know of. We don't have no laws that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So they're not all here either, and I think I'd hate to say it, but I feel like the further you get north from here, it probably gets even worse. And I hate to speak for George's area. I mean, of course, he's a little more rural like I am. Of course, there may be, but around here, I mean, when I was little, it seemed like everybody went to church. When my mom was little and my dad was little, absolutely everybody went to church. Around here now, the largest part of the population doesn't attend church. I'm in Bristol, Virginia, if you know where that's at. Just outside of Bristol, Tennessee, where the racetrack's at. Pretty populated area. I've got 20 people show up to church on Sunday.
Right. But it's
the guy that I tried to get on the night. He's a religious guy.
Who was that, Chris?
Real religious guy.
Who was it?
Sonny Tapia. He's probably hunting in New Mexico. Sonny Tapia, he does Sportsmen's for Heroes. He takes out a lot of vets. So.
Oh yeah, you were talking about.
He always tries to get me to help him out and stuff, but then and it never works out. And I'm just kind of a loner, anyways. Like, I'm a big loner. I stay to myself. Try to. A lot of drama in the hound world, man. Yeah, you think religion's bad? You know what I mean? There's a lot of drama in church, but it's just the same. And and I guess hound would be outdoors is my religion. So there's drama in the hound world. Like,
everybody's so what I've seen is everybody's so jealous in the hound world. And when I first started, when I first started bird hunting, I thought, it was all about putting a bar in the tree. You know what I mean? Put the bar in the air. And no, these guys are like, such and such said his dog started the track, and I don't like that. And such dogs is outrunning mine. I don't like that. And then the guy that had the dog that was the fastest in the group, people like, my dog's faster. And I'm like, are we a bunch of kids, or are we going to just run a bar together?
Yeah.
No, it's junior high, all right. And that's why I'll stick to just calling my dogs trashy, and I'll stick to telling everybody I have bait sites and I hunt at night, and I'll just stick to spreading my own rumors. That way, when there's a rumor spread, they don't know whether to believe it or not. So
I have realized
you know,
through
I
basically
think if you
media.
hunt,
Go ahead, Chris.
my internet was breaking up. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say I've realized, especially
Jordan.
late the last year or so through social media, I have realized how blessed me and the small group of guys that hunt with me, basically our little group, how laid back compared to, like, and what I'm trying to say is, so my cousin's dogs, my uncle's dogs, like I have all their in the new technology, I have their track codes, their shot codes, and my uncle fully trusts me. If I shock his dog, he's not going to think nothing of it. And I've realized through talking to other people that don't happen out there anymore. Like what I'm trying to say is if we go hunting and if I see my cousin's dog running a deer, then he fully expects me to tell him that it's running a deer. And it goes, his dogs are my dogs are their dogs. We treat them all, like I say, when my uncle's dogs, when we're hunting them, I consider that they're part of my pack. And through talking to people, kind of like what you just said, Chris, I've realized that doesn't happen out with people hunting together.
Hardly anymore.
You can get the track code here, but that's because they hope that you'll help them catch it if it comes to the road.
Yeah,
but
I just don't mess around with that stuff. I don't. If I get to a tree and there's people there, I just walk away. I don't want to deal with their whiny babies, because in my beliefs, a punch in the mouth will get more respect than arguing. So if I don't walk away, it's like I don't like disrespect. I'm not going to disrespect you until I'm disrespected. It's just not worth fighting at a tree. And I've heard of dirty fights at a tree, and I'm just like, in front of your clients, even, but I don't know whose dog started what first. I dropped on a track, and if you dropped on the road ahead of me, I don't know that, So I've been at trees where the guy said, "Did you not hear us rig?" I said, "Dude, I walked 1.5 miles off that mountain. I didn't come on the road. I wasn't on the road. So you dropped the rig, and I was already up on the mountain. I started something. You started something. Is it the same something? Or did your dogs hear my dogs? Or did my dogs hear your dogs? But I don't care. I'll pull my damn dogs. You know what I mean? If you want to be a big baby about stuff, I'm going to be like, you're just a big baby. What are you, junior high? And I'll pull my dogs. I don't care.
I will say around here, most of the hound hunters will say, most of the hound hunters around here will holler at you on radio and say, "Hey, dump them. We want to put it, we need help catching it. Dump them." They don't care if you help catch it, but they get jealous over the dog that started the track and the dog that's the fastest on the track. And they do get some jealousy over like that. I've seen. I have heard, I've not been involved in it, but I have heard situations where my buddy's dogs were getting picked up off a track when they had to bear across the road. They were getting picked up as the other guy was dumping his dogs on it. And they come around the curve on him, and he's like, "Oh, I caught your dogs here." And he's like, "Yeah, you caught my dogs here because they were running the bear that you just dumped your dogs on." So, stuff like that. And around here, it's never really mattered about that. It's just all about getting the bear, but at the same time, they get jealous over silly things.
Oh, yeah. But, most of them problems come from don't tree bear, or don't tree mini bear, I reckon I should say. The guys that tree 3, 4, 5 a week, they could care less. Yeah,
we'll go to the next one. I started a bear. I bumped in the guy running a bear, and I'm like, well, we'll see where it goes. And we ran our dogs together. You know what I mean? And there was big drama later on. Same guy, not me, but I have a problem. Like, I'm like,
Right.
shoot, man, my dogs ain't doing it. Your dogs ain't doing it. Maybe they'll do it. And they did. By the time we had 15 dogs out running this bear, we had 4 make it to the tree because that's how it just ran. I mean, this bear ran. That's all he did. All he did. He ran circles for miles, big circles, up and down mountains. He smoked my dogs. And the dog that made it on my side, I think he had 2 dogs that made it, and I had 2 dogs that make it, were my fattest dogs. And they made it. And I had to drop them in the middle, and he dropped other dogs. And then it was way up on a hill, so we sent our young kids up to go check it, so we didn't have to walk up there. But I don't see the problem with that. You know what I mean? I don't hunt with nobody, but I don't mind hunting with anybody. And if I don't like hunting with you, I'm not going to hunt with you again. You know what I mean? But there's no reason to be like, hey, you need to pull your dog. Hey, I don't care. But I'm not a guide that's reliant on that money and don't give a crap about if it's a bull or something, you know, or little bear. I've seen them kill little bears. You know what I mean? There's some reasons you kill a little bear, you know, and that's just how it is. There's some reasons I killed a female for a girl in a wheelchair. I'm not going to roll her in another 80 yards over Malapai Rock. That bear was a shooter and it was a female. It was legal. And that's why we got that girl, that bear, you know?
Right.
I tried to get Elizabeth. It was Elizabeth Bolin. Is Elizabeth Washoe now? I don't know how to say it. And I did talk to her today, but I tried to get her on. Man, I could tell you stories with her. Me and her just ran bears. I mean, there's times I couldn't catch a bear, and she'd come out, couldn't catch a bear. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God it's not just my dumb dogs. Like, you know, and then her dogs really taught my dogs how to rig. My dogs would rig, and I'm like, drop your dogs because her dog, and make sure it's a bear. And then after we did it like 3 times, I had good rig, checked them with her dogs, you know, and then all of a sudden the 4th time I'm out by myself with Dirty, because I lost my good rig dog. And that was his father. Dirty's father was Luke. I'm out, I get a rig, I look down, there's a little tiny bear track. That thing had to be 100 pounds, 125 pounds. And it was old, like a week. I'm like, nah, there's no way he's rigging a dumb. So I walk out, I let him down, he goes. And I walk out, I find a bigger track. And that was the first time he rigged himself, trailed himself, caught the bear. I let other dogs down, but he was the one. And ever since then, he's my rig dog, you know? So, but I don't mind hunting with people. I really don't. I got some guys that don't know hounds very good. And I'm a mean person. If you guys watch my last video, that girl that I'm yelling at for crying like a baby, I am really mean to her about, because they wanted to do it. And I'm not a guy. If you want to jump off the bridge into that water and it's 40 feet, I'm like, go ahead. Like, it's deep enough, go. If there's a rock there, I'm like, don't do it. You want to do it? Do it. It's going to hurt. You know, people don't learn, and they wanted to walk and they wanted to go up. I said, this is the steepest side of the mountain, but go ahead. And they did. And they were throwing up, falling down. And it was, you know, but that's how they learn. So people come with me. I'm like, I'll treat your kids like mine. You know what I mean? I'll shoot them with BB guns. I'll make them eat stuff they probably shouldn't. But it's the same with their dogs. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you if your dog's doing something wrong.
Child Protective
I don't know
Services,
everything.
he's joking.
But I knew
this is a satire show. We're just kidding.
No. Hey, come get them. Come get my kids. Give me a vacation for a few months. I'll go to court, get them back. I tell my kid, and I'm mean. I like, you know, the big deal is too today. They're like, all these kids are like, I'll call CPS on you. And I tell my kids, if you guys don't like it, call CPS. But let me tell you what's going to happen in a foster, and I'm not polite about it. Let me tell you what's going to probably happen in the foster care, because this is stories. These are real stories. And I said, but go ahead, call them. Give me a break. I'll be hunting. Call me when you're ready to come home. So,
hey, I wore my son out one time at my mom's house, and I can't remember what he done, but I whipped his butt, and he said, "I'll call law on you." And he had just left, not 30 minutes before that, his friend's house, Addison. Addison's dad, Mike, was a deputy, a county deputy here, and I got him by the hands. Come on, let's go. And we got to my mom and dad's front door, and he said, "Where we're going?" I said, "You want to call the law? I'm taking you back to Mike's house. He's the law." He locked them brakes up and was going, "No, Daddy, no, Daddy, no, Daddy, I'll be good. I promise. Don't take me to Mike's house." I said, "Don't threaten me with the law no more if you really don't want to go." And then one time he threatened me. I whipped him. He threatened me with school. I'll tell him at school you're whipping me. So I just happened to be at school one day, and I knew his principal, and I just told him, "Hey, just while we're here talking," I said, if Nick ever tells you that I whip him, I do." And he said, "Okay, so," and I said, "Well, he keeps threatening me with, when I whip him, that he's going to come tell y'all at school that I'm whipping him." He said, "Hold on a minute." And he picks his phone up off his desk and he hits a button and says, "Yeah, tell him send Nick Jones to my office." "Okay, just send him on in when he gets here." We're in his office, and Nick comes in, looks around, sees us, and gets, kind of quiet and sneaky like a kid does. He talks to Nick a minute and says, "Hey, by the way, if you ever tell me that your mom and your daddy whips you, I figure you deserve it." He said, I've known your mom since we went to school together. I've known your dad and your aunt for a long time. So I figure you deserve it if you're getting one, because my son does when he acts up." And Nick's, "Okay," never heard another word. And my mom a while back said, "You were too hard on him." We were at her house probably back last fall sometime. "You were too hard on him when he was little." And he said, "No, Mama, I'm glad Daddy was hard on me." So I'll whip my kids. But you talking about your kids, Chris, I told one of my buddies today, because he's all about he's not raising a wuss. I'm not raising a wuss. I said, "You need to watch I need to find a couple videos of Chris's and send you for you to watch." I said, "Because Chris ain't raising no woofies."
Oh man, I tell you what, if you've seen the uncut videos that I edit, I watch them like, oh damn, man, I sound like a bow. I gotta quit yelling like that, or I gotta, I sounded a little bit rude telling them that. You ever want to see how bad a parent you are, just watch uncut videos of yourself when you're out hunting, But even people, I have a gal that hunts with me, and I've known her for like 25 years. I make her cry every year elk hunting. One of probably the best worst stories is it's elk season, and it's the last day. We have 20 minutes of light. We see elk. It's snow. I pull over. I get out, and I'm like, though they're all cows. We need cows. And I said, "Shoot it, Nina. Nina, shoot it. Nina, shoot that big. Nina, where?" I walk around, and she had found the bank of snow. It's like 3 foot. She's trying to get up. I said, "What are you doing? Trying to make snow angels? Get over here and shoot that elk." She's trying to get out of that snow bank. Lost her phone there. Yeah. She knows every year, though, and she still calls me the next. They have a hunt this year. They're like, "Hey, we got 2 tags." I'm all right. You know the drill. So I'm not too nice to people, but I just treat them like human beings. We've hunted with billionaires and got a call later like, "Dude, those guys had a blast with you." Oh, I didn't even know the guy was stealing my birds. So, but glad to hear.
Smith's Tree Talking Kennels says, "Glad to hear I'm not the only one that thinks I sound grouchy just talking to my kids."
Yeah,
you're in
if
good
you listen,
company,
you don't listen to yourself. You don't listen to yourself when you're talking. You know what I mean? But when you have to hear it back on video, you're like, "Oh man, my kid needs to punch me right in my face."
You want to sound like you want to sound bad and feel awful about the way you might talk to people. Try farming for a little while. You need to farm a little bit, raise some cattle, work cattle together.
Ranch.
Do stuff
ranch.
Like that.
That's the same thing.
You will working cattle.
No,
say things to people that you probably shouldn't say to people, because it brings the worst out in you.
But all my kids, I have a guy that has money, and he tells everybody, and he's from New York, and the guy's like, effing Chris, you should see how effing Chris raises his kids, unorthodox. But I can give every one of the kids the keys to my Range Rover or my $1 million house, and they'll take care of it. I don't worry about his kids at all. Greatest kids in the world, you know. But I raise my kids as adults. I talk to them like adults when they're babies, you know. Old Lyndon got the BB gun and he shot out a bunch of my windows in my vehicles. And I asked him about it a week before, and I said, "Hey, man, my 75, there's some windows." "Oh, I don't know." The next week, I seen another window in my 97 Dodge. I have a bunch of car. I have like 40 vehicles in my yard. And I said, and then I had it. I said, "Nope, you're going to tell me the truth now." And I probably should have whooped his butt, but I took everything away from him. And you take something from a kid. My mom used to take my truck away from me. My dad would be like, "You can either get a whipping or you can get your stuff back. Which one you want? You want a whipping and you get your stuff back, or you want to just take?" I go out and get a switch. And then I think I was smart, and I would break it in little pieces. And I realized that when he whipped me with it, it'd wrap around my dang legs. So it didn't help at all. But I'd rather take a whooping, you know, than get my stuff taken away. I raise them all with thick skin.
I've heard my dad talk about the teachers when they were in school would make them go out and cut their own switch, and they would ring them. They'd take their pocket knife and ring them, try to get them to break. And they said if they'd done that, they said we tried it, but said every time we done it, they'd make us go out and get another one.
Oh yeah, if it broke, it's like go get a bigger one. I'm like, dang, I'm starting over. I'm like, dang, man. But you know, the kids, I just raised my kids with thick skin. All my daughters, I would probably get a call from their husband saying, "Can you help me? Because they're beating me," instead of my daughters calling me saying, like, you know what I mean? But I raise them with thick skin, and I raise them for the real world. There is no participation badge in my house, you know. And then the next day, I walked out, checked my horse water, and he was supposed to water everything, and he did not. And the horse water was out of water, and my fish died. And I had this beta fish that don't survive and stuff. We dumped in there, and it was there for 2 years. Huge. This thing was huge. I don't know how it survived. That water would freeze, and he'd have a little pocket of water, and he would live. And he killed it. I'm like, "You owe me a fish now. You're not getting a whooping, but now you got to take your money out of your wallet, and you got to go buy me another fish." So,
question: it gets cold enough in Arizona for the water to freeze?
I'm at 6,000 feet. I'm not in. I only work down in Phoenix, which I don't even do that no more. So I'm back up. I'm at 6,000 feet. So yeah, we get snow. Like it's 50 degrees in the morning right now.
It's been that way a lot here lately. Last couple of months have been hot, but I know that Georgia's had some good running weather here lately.
Rain.
Yeah. Well, I say that last 3, I don't know, it was a couple of days there we got terrible hot, but now it's back good again now.
That's what I was saying. Last few days this week or something, it got hot. Like I think day before yesterday or something, it was pretty hot, but we've had some good cool mornings. I think we had some mornings here it was down like in the high 40s.
Yes. Yep. Good running. So, and speaking of that, to go back
Troy,
to, I know,
look at Troy.
You know, correct, Hounds 75. Yeah. Hounds are the same way as far as if they can get by with stuff, and if you let them get by with stuff, boy, they will push it to the limit.
I have not been here for 3 years. I'm a weekend person. I always tell my wife, I'm just your conjugal visit husband, and I'm a weekend dad for the kids. So I'm home now. And the difference when I'm home, when they go out and feed those dogs bark. And I hate a dog that barks when you're out feeding them. I do not like it. I don't handle it. I got a Daisy BB gun. I don't just use on my kids. I use on my dogs. And when I walk out there, I don't even have to have the BB gun. When I walk out there, when they're feeding, all those dogs go stand by their dog house because they know they can get away. But when I walk out, they know they can't get away with it. And it only took me walking out shaking that BB gun one time that they're like, "Oh, daddy's home." So You're right, though. They'll get away with it. They will. You know, those puppies that were coming to me, they haven't really worked with them. And I had to put them on a rope yesterday and
Right.
make her come to me like, hey, I'm calling your name. You got to come to me.
Yeah.
So they're just like kids, no matter how old they are. You know, my 9-year-old dog out there was barking when they were feeding. And he heard me coming and he went and sat on his dog box. Like, oh, it wasn't me. Yeah, it was you. I could hear your voice. I know what you sound like.
My healer listens well to me. I call him. They're called Texas healers. I just call him a healer because he's crossbred with Australian Shepherd and Border Collie in him. He listens well to me. But when my wife's mother got sick, I just told her to quit work, and I worked a bunch of overtime, you know, to make sure things got took care of, and she took care of her mother. And her mom ended up dying just 2 weeks after she quit work, and then they replaced her at her job, so she couldn't go back to work. She stayed here, and this dog has not he still listens to me, but not as well as he did after spending a year with her home every day and her baby in his butt. And if she's around, I have to talk to him a whole lot more sterner, get a whole lot more stern with him for him to realize Daddy's talking. You got to listen. But if I take him out on the farm, fine, he'll listen to every word I say. But if Mama's around, forget it.
Yep.
And
that's they're smarter.
I don't know how we got on all this subject.
We're talking. It's me. It's my fault. Preachers have like, I'm not sure if George's dad does, but preachers have this thing that I call rabbit trails, and we start down a line and we run a rabbit, and then we have to come back to it, and you go a little further more, and you jet back off the trail again, and you run rabbit tracks. So
I think they're more like gopher holes because you go down them, and you don't know where it's going to pop up next. It's like that game. Remember that game used to hit those gophers, and it would pop up everywhere, and you'd have to try to hit them. That's these conversations. Whack-a-mole. Mm-hmm. That's how old I am.
Training crazy mules has, I'm assuming, made me a better parent, but definitely made me a better houndsman. Probably a better parent. Everything. You can learn to train them crazy things, then it will help
They remember too, like donkeys and mules. If you punch a mule in his nose, that mule will remember that. And he may not get you today or tomorrow. He'll get you somehow, put you under a tree, or I've never been kicked, knock on wood, by my mule, and I'm nice to her. Like, I'm really nice to my donkeys and mules because they remember and they'll get you back. They hold a grudge. So you have to be really patient with mules, really patient. So,
but that's why those good mules out west bring a lot of money out. Those good mules, because it takes a whole lot to make a good mule.
I was just talking to my cousin about mules. How in the old days you could buy a horse $1,500. That was good. 25 was a good horse. Now it's like $5,000. I see people selling them $5,000. They're like, green broke. I'm like, what? Damn. So.
Yep. My horse that we had here, that she was out of the Doc's bar line. She was a good horse as far as riding. She was $2,000, and that was.
When you say Doc bar, I think buck.
Buck.
All dog bars buck. All dog bars buck. I don't know.
She did.
Every dog bar horse I've had, bucked.
She come out of Texas. She was bred in, her breeding, she come from Texas. The original owner had her in Texas, and then she ended up here with a guy named Jerry Widener, and Jerry Widener sold her to David Heath, and we bought her off of David, and she stayed here until she got hit by lightning. But she was too sorry, the buck. She was the one I was talking about the other week with Brett, that she would try her best if you rode her out of the yard here, out of the field. If you rode her out on the farm, try her best to turn around and go back. She was, she wanted to go. You'd have to make her. She'd try her best to turn right-handed. I don't know why, but she wanted to go right, and she wanted to circle right back to the house.
Yep. They ride different when you trailer out. That's for sure.
She was a whole lot. She was a good horse. Now, I've heard Dad talk about hitting one of his in the nose, He said he hit that horse in the nose because he said that horse did not want to load at the house. He said he'd get that horse out of the pasture field at the house, go to put him on the trailer, take him to ride up on the mountain. Said Dad said you'd have to drag him. Said he would fight and carry on. Dad said he hit him in the nose one day, got mad at him, and he said I felt bad after I hit him. He said because he said his lip quivered and his eyes teared up. And he said I felt bad after I hit that horse. But he got to where he had to take his jacket off. He said and wrap around that horse's head and lead him blindfolded up on the trailer because he said if he didn't, he'd never go. But he said once you take him to the mountain, he said you take him somewhere else and ride him. He said you could just let go of the lead and he'd load himself. He's ready to go home, but he did not want to leave the house.
I think the biggest thing that I've come to understand with mules, horses, hounds, everything is there's always a reason. It might not be a good reason or anything, but there's always a reason they're doing what they're doing. And if you can figure out that reason, and a lot of times you got to think about it a bit, but there's always, that dog that's doing whatever he's doing, there's some reason that's making him do that. And if you can figure out that reason, then you can figure it out, come up with a solution, or maybe you can't come up with a solution, but at least you can try. There's always a reason. And once I got that understanding, then I realized that I could make, or at least try to get, the dogs to do a different thing, or the horses or the mules. Like I say, working with a mule, if they don't want to do what you want them to do, you can't hardly make them. So I just changed my thought process a little bit about training, and boy, it did make a difference.
Awesome. I had a horse that would want to run off, and I had a field across me that they would disc up. They never really used, so it was always real deep dirt. And that horse wanted to run, so I said, "Oh, if you want to run, we'll run." I would run that horse until it wanted to stop, but I wouldn't let it stop. I would keep running it, and then he'd want to stop again, and I'd keep running it until he realized, "Oh, maybe I don't want to run so bad no more." You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to let them do what they're going to do and make them do it even more till they realize, "Oh, shoot, this ain't no fun when he wants to run." So then you'll settle them down. I mean, it don't work all the time. Sometimes you just get a crazy dog or a crazy horse. You get a dog that don't want to do or won't quit. My yucky dog, he don't really try on squirrels like out when he's running on a track. But if I shoot squirrels and throw them in the truck, he'll try to grab them. If he grabs them, I could hold that shocker down. If it had a 200 number on it, I could hold it down, and he will not let that squirrel go. No matter what happens, I could throw that dog off a 100-foot bridge, and he would not let that squirrel go until he hit the ground. Like he wouldn't, and he'd die with it in his mouth.
Will he tree a squirrel?
I don't know.
Will he tree a squirrel?
No, I don't let him. Like I'll buzz him when he's rigged. Like a squirrel runs across the road and he's on the rig. Now he just gets all excited. He's like, I want to bite it. I want to bark. I'm a bark. And he starts whining, and I'll just tone him. He's like, oh, damn it. He just wants to kill squirrels. He wants to eat them. He would swallow them whole if I let him.
Squirrel dogs are expensive.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Squirrel dogs are outrageously expensive. I started saying you might have $1 million
dog.
Or...
That dog would probably make a good squirrel dog. I just don't want to use him on a squirrel dog because he's a good tree dog for bear. But yeah, we was talking about Scruffy. I used she's in heat right now, so I can't use her. And I probably would have put some bears up, but she's a Catahoula. That Cruella dog I got with the blue eyes, that dog is fast. I mean, that dog is ridiculously fast. She would win the hound trials if she didn't want to run and bite the dogs next to her while they're running. She nips at them. Like, don't fight them. Just like bites them in their ears while they're running. Only at the hound trials. But
that's the herding instinct.
She would smoke them. Yeah, that's the Catahoula. But she would stare. She is fast. And if she sees that bear, like Scruffy, if he jumps out and sees that bear, gone. I mean, she's on that bear. So once she's out of heat this week, maybe I'll have a little better luck putting them up. You know, because Dirty and Yucky are big dogs. You know, big
I
dogs
swear to
gas
you,
out. I'm not gonna lie, they gas out.
I think healers would make good pack dogs. You know, if you had a hot bear and you wanted, you know, a bear up run and you had a trail dog like a lot of people do around here, coming off the rig or on
There's some
the snow.
people that have them.
I've never seen anybody run with a healer. I did have some people send me a video one time of an Australian Shepherd in West Virginia. They sent me a video because this Texas healer of mine bred my best hound, but I never could get nobody to take the puppies and try them.
I know a guy who has half healer, half hounds that hunts with them right here local.
Man, they love sheep.
He catches bears.
He's death on small game. I've seen him tree squirrels before, but I never did. When he was young, I should have took him out and tried him because I've seen him tree squirrels before and sat down. He won't bark, but he'll just sit down and stare up the tree and watch for him. But he's death on small game. Possums, groundhogs, raccoons. If it hits the ground, he can get a hold of it. He's death on it. So I always thought that, you know, these dogs here, the way they like to run rodents and stuff, I believe if you ever got them in with a pack of bears and worked with them, I believe they'd run the far out of a bear.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way they like to bite.
Trevin.
What's that?
Off topic, but what do good dogs sell for in y'all's neck of the woods? Let's kind of start wrapping things up a little bit, but maybe go around the bend here and chime in on Trevin's question here. Chris?
I never bought a dog, but like a started dog, anywhere from 15 to 3,000, 1,500 to 3,000, and a good made dog anywhere from, I want to say 4,000 to 7,000 on average. You know, you could probably, if you wanted a good dry ground line dog, you could probably hunt around and get a $7,000 dog, $5,000 to $7,000 dog. Just from what I see and hear, you know, I mean, it could have gone up when you're selling $20,000 hounds, you know, but that's kind of a white elephant, really. You know, people don't work their dogs like that. What's sad is puppies are only $300, $150, $300. Like, but you see these Labradoodles that are selling, or a standard poodle, $1,800, $2,800 for an 8-week-old poodle. I know a person who sells them. The girl I make fun of that hunts with me. She's like, I don't care. People buy them. I'm just like, you know, and you got a year-old dog that's, you know, running a trail and going to the tree, you're like $1,500. You know, unless he's exceptional, you might get $2,000, maybe $3,000 if he's really, really good. But that's Arizona, but a lot of these are drier ground, so I don't know if that makes a difference if they're higher. Bear dog, I think you could get a bear dog for $5,000, maybe up, a good finished bear dog. That's me guesstimating.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and chime in with you, Chris. That's I just called a guy here that's somewhat local. He's within an hour of me, and this, I think this was yesterday. I called him, and I asked him what he was getting lately and what his prices, and exactly what you just said. 15, depended on the started dog, what level it's at, 1,500 to 3,000, 5,000 and up for what he would consider a finished dog. And when he says finished dog, you know, that goes month trial or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I guarantee.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds pretty similar, you know, to bobcat dogs out here.
I would say I get where y'all are at, but maybe it's just the people I know. You can get good dogs around here cheaper if you know somebody that just has a few they want to weed out.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of trading and deals.
I'm talking about good dogs. Like, I know the Jip I had was older, but I gave that boy, and she was a trail dog, what we call a trail dog here. I gave that boy, I think, $350 or $400 for. And like I said, I know she was older, but I actually talked to the people that got her off of me a couple years ago because she was a good dog for pups because she was getting slower. And they told me, said, yeah, said she's not the fastest dog in the world. They said, we know when she strikes and opens up that we're running a bear. There's no doubt that there will be a bear when we get there.
Good puppy trainer.
Oh, she was a real, and a puppy trainer is worth, I mean, that dog's worth a lot of money. A lot of people pay a lot of money for an old dog that's a puppy trainer, and we'll let pups run with her or him. I know that, and I think it just depends on the person too. Y'all have heard me talk about my buddy's dog that's real cold nosed. He's turned down, I know, $7,500 and $10,000 for that dog. But, and I'll just be honest with you, the group that I've hunted with in the past, some of them might get mad for me saying it, but they'd be hurting if Buford was gone. And when something happens to Buford, they're going to be hurting because, you know, he is the dog everybody depends on. Where's Buford at? What's Buford doing? Everybody checks their dog on what Buford's doing. But I said in the past, I've seen him run across the road, and he would run like a normal dog would be if it was hot and it was wide open, and you dump a box and the dogs scatter out like marbles out of a sack trying to figure out what's going on because they can't smell it. So.
Right.
But I think,
I feel like
huh?
I feel like your best puppy trainers though has always been that 12 to 15-year-old female dog. I've never had a good male puppy trainer. It's always been a female that's over 12 years old that does really good training in puppies. That's just what I've never had someone give me a 15-year-old dog or, 12-year-old dog that's a male. It's like, that's a good puppy trainer. I don't, maybe it's just the motherly instinct of a dog or.
I was going to say, got more patience with puppies with her, young dogs with her. Now you talk about dogs like Scruffy. Scruffy's probably, and I hope I don't insult George with this because he's probably worth a whole lot more to George than he would be anybody else. That dog's probably in the squirrel market though. He's probably worth, the way he hunts and the way the videos you see of him, he's probably worth $3,500 to $5,000 dog. Of course, George probably.
How dare you? He's a $10,000 dog. Watch your mouth.
George probably wouldn't take $10,000 for him, but that's probably that's about what a dog like that brings in the squirrel market. Squirrel market is crazy.
Them dogs bring $700 at 8 weeks old.
It's crazy what squirrel dogs bring.
That's just one of them Jack Terriers, man. I tried to get one off Elizabeth, and I tried to get her to give me a deal, and you just sell them. I just don't want to spend $700 on it. I want a little dog to run around with me. That way I don't have to talk to myself. I can yell at the dog instead of me. But they're expensive.
You can get pups off of Squirrel Dog Dynasty. He's a gospel singer. His name's Kevin Spencer. Used to be with, if you've ever heard of the Spencer family. He sings with the Spencer family and then sings by himself too. But he raises squirrel dogs, and you can get pups off of him for a lot of times untrained pups for $350, $400, $500, and sometimes he's got pups that are started on squirrel for $500 or $600.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, and I'm gonna
dog box one.
I'm gonna hop off here, but I noticed one big thing that affects a dog's price is and it's don't make it right at all, but social media presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people's watched my videos. If 5 years ago I wouldn't have gotten near the money. I had the same dogs, the same quality of dogs, probably better dogs, but I wouldn't have gotten near the money that I could sell pups and stuff for now, just because people see my video. There's 10 other hunters that's probably got better dogs than I got in the area that I hunt. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's other people that have just as good or better dogs than me that hunt where I hunt that would not be able to sell their dogs for the money I can get just because my videos, which I don't make it right at all, but that's just reality.
Well, you've actually got proof too. I mean, you've got
your side hustle, George.
You've got believable proof, George, that your dog will.
Give them your puppies. You'll take 10% of what you.
Hey, there you go. Right.
I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to the pound, and I'm gonna pick the ugliest, nastiest little tiny dog. I'm talking that dog you see on all the memes that have bad teeth and hair, and that's the dog I'm gonna use. I'm a $50 dog. My goal now. I might do that tomorrow. Go hit the pound, see what they got.
You know, that would be a good video to put out there, is to go to the pound and get a dog and work with it. You would have a lot of interest, I think, in following that dog's progress and how you could possibly turn that mutt from the hound, from the pound, a hound type dog into a hunter.
I don't want a hound. I want some dirty little disgusting dog. The kind you think died when it's laying on your porch, and you have to kick it to make sure it's not dead.
I won't even tell the story.
You better get off here.
It's too long and I gotta get off here. But maybe the next time we're on or something, I'll tell the story of the best hound I've ever owned, and I'm sure will ever own, how I got her. And yeah, long story short, she actually, I was paid to take her. So, and she's the best hound I've ever had and ever will have. Yeah.
Someone gave you money to take the dog.
Yes.
Oh,
that's how it works.
All right.
That's how it works.
Jenny is
my wife's out of town. If anybody wants a Chihuahua while she's out of town, I will give them money to take this Chihuahua.
I'm not supposed to say that on a live.
I may be in divorce court when she gets back, because I've told her multiple times that I was going to tie a $20 bill to its neck and set it outside. So.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get ready and hop off here.
Yeah, thanks for joining, George. Good to see you, man. Hope you have some good hunts this week.
Yep, that's I'll talk to you. I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna try to go in the morning. So,
hey, George,
okay? One more thing, George. Is that a hunting blind behind you?
What
are we looking at?
It is.
Okay.
I'm sitting in my dad. My dad does pastoral work, and well, not pastoral, but he does ministry work and stuff. And I'm sitting in his study right now, so you can see what kind of life we. Yeah, I'm sitting in his desk.
So much easier.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
If he needs a break, does he sit in the ground blind? Is that what it is? He needs
to
feel like
exactly.
That's his little inspiration.
That's his prayer.
Hey, George.
That's what it is.
You have any videos coming out before you get off, George? Or?
If I worked on one this evening, if I can get it to upload tonight, then I'll put it out tomorrow.
Cool.
Beautiful.
So, and it's
what
basically
about you, Johnny?
I basically get into bees. I have a deer chase, and finally have a crazy little bear.
Wow, little everything.
Little everything.
I've got one. Johnny. I got one I need to do a voiceover on, and it's not been too quiet around here lately to get a voiceover done on it. We got some road work being done right beside the house here, so when I'm at home during the day, there's a lot of racket going on. So I've not been able to get the voiceover done on it yet. So it's just a short little video of a really good place to eat. So
nice. What about you, Chris?
I uploaded one yesterday, and I'm working on one now that I'm gonna try to get out by Thursday. But I'm going hunting in the morning and Thursday morning. Our archery season for bear closes Thursday. So
nice.
I'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Have you hit the 1,000 mark yet?
I'm at 1,029 or something.
Wow, great.
Nice work.
Yeah. Got me a merch shop and everything.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. I'm at 944, so I'm still a pretty good ways behind.
I swear I stayed at 925 for 10 years. It would not move. I'm like, dang, where do I just buy some? At least one, at least make it move. But and then once it hit 1,000, like my last video I just uploaded Sunday, I got 8 subscribers off it. So
mine's steadily a couple of times, and you guys have helped a lot. being in with you guys have helped me a lot, and I appreciate it. So I really do.
I think it helps
appreciate
everybody out a lot.
Oh, it's helped me out a lot.
What about
It's
you,
helped me out a
Nicholas?
lot.
You're cat hunting again, aren't
so
you,
I just-
Nicholas?
Yeah, our season opened up, but it's still pretty hot and dry and fire danger and stuff. But more so than that, our bobcat season opened at the same exact time as the archery elk season. So I've been staying out of the woods these first 2 weekends just because I know the bow hunter's going to be hitting it hard, and I like to avoid conflicts whenever possible. So yeah, I've been last weekend I've been recording videos building my dog box. So I've been teaching myself
you're a
how
welder
to weld.
now.
I'm a welder. That's right. I'm a fabricator. Well, I'm more of a grinder than a welder. So I've been doing a lot more grinding than welding.
Weld your best, grind the rest.
That's right. Yeah. So that's been pretty
I
fun.
tell people I can weld. I don't know if I'm a welder, but I can weld.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. So keep a watch out for some dog box building videos coming up. And then once I get that rolling, we'll be hitting the woods hard and trying to tree some bobcats this year.
Awesome.
And on that note, let's go ahead and wrap up the live stream. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments, the live chats. I mean, it really makes it a lot of fun for us to respond to your questions in real time. And we're trying to do this every Monday night. So me and Chris have been alternating it on our different channels, but maybe Brett will be back in action next week. So just subscribe to all of us, hit the notification bells, and that way when we go live, you'll know right when we do, and you can jump on in.
Has anybody talked to Brett?
I just texted him a little bit ago, and he did his thing today. I don't know what they did, but I asked him how it went. He said it went real good. So
yeah,
that was the last I heard.
Nice.
I texted him earlier. He said that they went in, and I reckon they were just looking around today because he said he didn't have any blockages or anything. Just he still needs to have the ablation done. But he said, he's had one of those before, so he's not too worried about that. But at least there's no blockages or nothing in his heart. So
good deal. Let everybody know.
It seems like all this stuff. Yeah. All this stuff with Brett, it's just all a formality. We know he's going to be 100% fine. So.
Oh, yeah. I think he's just worried a lot. And I've worried about him just because he's been worried.
I think he's grouchy because he has to sit around and he can't do nothing. And Brett has to get out and do something. So Brett needs to get out and do something before he goes crazy. So,
yeah, Mike.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Mike called me and said he's talked to Brett. So Brett's been talking about coming up and at least hanging out with us one night when I get out there. So,
oh, cool.
Hey, George.
Easton wants everybody to know he's going to be in the video.
All right.
Of course he is.
Look for Easton in the video because we all like Easton probably better than George anyways. The better commentator.
Him, Scruffy, and Cletus.
Yeah.
Hey, George, I want to give you a call sometime.
All right, guys.
About 10 minutes. Wouldn't be a good time to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'm hard to get a hold of, but anytime.
Okay.
I'll message you as soon as we get off here.
Call him anytime, but he's not going to answer.
Yeah, that's kind of the truth.
Yeah.
All right.
You just got to text him first.
Yeah, I'll message you, John.
Okay.
So,
Alrighty.
all right, guys.
All right.
Talk to you guys.
Thanks, everybody. See you all later.
Bye.
Cheers.